Welcome to Missing on Monday, where the details of a new missing persons case will be explored each week. Some of the content covered may be sensitive. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, welcome to Missing on Monday. I'm Candace.
And I'm Ashley. And we are back again with another episode for you guys. But first, we have something new that we want to try out. Candace, do you want to tell them about our new little segment?
Yeah, so we've been trying to figure out a way kind of to, I guess, like an icebreaker into the episode. Is that what you would call it?
Yeah, I guess. So we're not just like diving into it, but also not boring you with things that you don't care about.
Precisely. So we are going to call this shit you don't really need to know.
And
it's a little trivia. Yeah. A little trivia for you.
All right, let's get a rundown on how this game works.
So basically, all it's going to be is one of us will ask the other person a question, and they are going to have answers A, B, C, and D. That person or the other person will guess what their answer would be, and we then will tell you which answer was actually correct, probably have a bit of a laugh, and then move on.
And we want you guys to play along because it'll be kind of fun.
Yeah, so when the question is asked, like, think about it yourself and think what you think would be the answer. So here we go with a game. Shit you don't really need to know.
I'm excited.
The question is, got a fat ass? There's a better chance that you will A, get bumped from a flight if you don't fit in a seat. B, have your intestines sucked out while you're sitting on an airplane toilet. C, have a hard time shitting because household toilets are getting smaller. D, be naturally smarter than someone without a big butt. Dun, 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 dun.
It's so hard because I want to say that you would be more likely to get kicked off of a plane because, like, if you got a big butt, maybe they want you to buy 2 seats, right? But then that seems so like wrong somehow, like prejudice or something. Yeah, or obvious. I don't think your intestines getting sucked out of your asshole is a thing. At least I hope it's not a thing. I don't think people with bigger butts are smarter because you have a bigger butt than me, and I'm pretty sure I'm smarter than you.
You did more schooling than I did.
That's all I mean. Like, book smart. Street smart? No.
I got you on that.
Okay, so what does that leave me with?
Well, so you've gone over A, you've gone over B. C is have a hard time shitting because household toilets are getting smaller.
And see, I'm not inclined to believe that because
a toilet's gotta accommodate everybody, right?
Well, and like people have been getting bigger over time, and toilets have definitely gotten bigger. We have an old toilet in our like mini bathroom in our bedroom, and it's freaking tiny. All right, so Ashley, I'm just gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna go with A.
All right,
going with A.
Are you ready? Ashley went with A.
No! What is it?
You're gonna die.
Is it the freaking the intestines out your butt?
No! Folks, the right answer is B. Have your intestines sucked out while sitting on an airplane toilet.
Oh my God.
You're welcome. Shit you didn't need to know, but like, it's real interesting, right?
This makes me glad that between the two of us, my butt is smaller.
Yeah, I definitely have a higher chance of that.
Not that we ever go anywhere, but if we did, you and Kristen, you'd be doomed.
No intestines left for us.
Nope.
All right, folks, we are going to get into it now.
All right. So this week's episode is a listener suggestion, and it's a very very interesting story. So today we're going to talk about Bryan Vladek Hasel. He goes by Vladek. Friends and family call him that. So for the purposes of this podcast, we will be calling him Vladek. He was born on December 20th, 1998. He has brown hair, blue eyes, is 5'8" and 220 pounds. He was last seen near the Place at Alafaya Apartments in East Orlando, Florida on November 12th, 2021. So just about 3 months ago. He was living with his dad, Steve, and Steve went out of town on November 5th. But before he left, he gave Vladek $100 and a credit card. This was like a family trip that they were going on. One of his sisters went as well. And they asked if Vladek wanted to go. He said he didn't want to go. He kind of was like, nah, no thanks. I think I'm going to stay. So his dad offered to like stock the house with groceries, and Vladek was like, no, it's fine. Like, this is plenty. So when Steve got back to the apartment on November 15th, Vladek wasn't there, but he didn't think that was weird because originally he told Vladek that he wasn't going to be back until Tuesday. So he's like, okay, maybe he's just staying with a friend. But then the next day, when he still hadn't shown up, the family started to worry because that wasn't like him to just leave and not check in. And the apartment looked like no one had been there. The shower hadn't been used. They only had one bathroom. Nothing was out of place. His phone was dead in his bedroom right next to a charger, and none of his stuff was gone. The only charge that was on that credit card was for a cup of coffee he bought at Foxtail Coffee House on either the 5th or the 6th, depending on when that transaction posted. He did share a car with his dad, but the car was in the shop because he had recently had some car trouble, something with the engine. It wasn't his fault, but he didn't have access to a vehicle. In the year leading up to when Vladek went missing, though, he did speak pretty frequently about eventually he just wanted to like disappear, live off the grid, go live in the woods, like, you know, just kind of countryman lifestyle. That's not what I'm thinking, but you know what I mean. But he also said that he would never do that while his dad was still alive because his dad would worry. He didn't want to worry his dad. That was the last time that his family saw him.
Okay. So we spoke with his sisters, Jody and Bethany, who said they believe he left the apartment sometime between November 12th and November 15th because he was last seen on the 12th at the apartment basketball court where he spoke to a maintenance employee who was familiar with him. They talked for a few minutes. The employee said he saw Vladek walk back into his apartment afterwards. He was gone when Steve returned on November 16th. The odd thing is about the story is that he stopped using his cell phone on the 6th. And he had unread texts from that day forward. It appeared as if he left suddenly and did not bring anything, including a $60 pocket knife he had bought within the last week. An important thing to note is Steve did tell Vladek that he was expecting a package to be delivered and to, you know, be on the lookout for it because he was going to be out of town and bring it inside when it was delivered. Well, when Steve arrived home, he noticed that the package was on the front door, which was unusual because he knew that Vladek had known it was coming and he would have brought it inside.
I just want to say quickly, though, like the fact that his phone was there, we talked about this earlier, doesn't surprise me at all. I don't feel like that's unusual for him because he did want to like live off the grid and just kind of disappear. So the fact that his phone was there, I was like, okay, that kind of made sense, honestly.
I absolutely agree with you. A person that's like more tech,
Like us.
just like attached more to like their electronic things, you know? That wasn't him.
No.
He really honestly didn't care.
No. Well, okay. So
I'm assuming later we're going to get into the other.
yes.
Okay,
so we're gonna do like a
we'll
little
save that.
backstory on Vladek. So Vladek actually was born in Russia. He has a sister named Irina, and their biological parents were not the greatest. They had some pretty severe alcohol addiction type stuff going on. They had issues. And Vladek and Irina did have a younger brother who unfortunately passed away because he was suffocated by their mom. And this is what ultimately led to them being placed in an orphanage. But, they got to that orphanage and then they were subjected to further abuse and more trauma. So, this is a person who is like very likely dealing with some severe PTSD. Like, he was 5 at the time when this all happened, but damn, that's a lot of shit to carry when you're a 5-year-old. Irina was
for
12.
sure.
So Steve, his dad, and then Cheryl, his mom, adopted Vladek and Irina when they were 5 and 12. They had they were going to give the kids like a good home, and they felt like removing them from this toxic situation like would iron out all of the wrinkles in their lives and that things would just get better for them. It didn't work out that way. So unfortunately, Steve and Cheryl, they did end up separating, but they are still on good terms. They take trips together to go visit the grandkids, and it just was one of those things, like, it didn't work out. But Vladek and Irina always had a special bond because this, like when you go through something traumatic with your sibling, it's like that is the only person who can relate to what you've been through.
Exactly. That's the only person that could understand even a minute feeling of what you're feeling or what you could be dealing with mentally.
So, because of that, they always had a very special relationship. Vladek actually because he was super young, right, when they were in Russia, he would call her and he would ask for like clarification on memories, like jog his memory for certain things that had happened. And they would talk a lot about that kind of stuff, like just kind of, I don't know if it was reliving so much as it was him, like maybe it was validation that his memory was correct, whatever it was, that or
just trying to understand,
like process
what he was thinking and what he had remembered. But I think you are right, like validating that he wasn't like creating these memories in his mind, that they actually did happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, and this is complete speculation, of course, but if he was suffering from PTSD, you kind of have to confront that stuff and like, okay, this did happen to me. This was awful. And now I'm remembering it. So unfortunately, Irina fell into the drug world and she became addicted to some substances. She's currently serving a sentence in jail, so we were not able to speak with her. But we do know that Vladek had a brief conversation with her around 1 a.m, the night that we are assuming he disappeared. I believe it was November 6th. So maybe not the night that he disappeared, but leading up to that time frame. Irina said there was nothing particularly remarkable about that conversation. They just were like checking up on each other. Hi, how are you? And it wasn't really out of the norm for them to be talking at 1 a.m, because if you want to get in touch with someone who's living that lifestyle, that's when they're awake, is at 1 a.m. So She said, like, yeah, it was just, we just checked in and it was fine. There was no red flags and that was it.
And I mean, I get that. And some people are just night owls anyways.
Me, I am a night owl for sure. 100%.
So Vladek was actually super well known in his community. It was so crazy actually kind of hearing some of that. He
Very
was,
heartwarming.
it was like people just, he was
Yeah.
very memorable, super chatty, made himself well known. He was so kind and so generous. Someone who would frequently give people who were in need help.
Like
He
shirt off
spent,
my back kind of guy.
I mean, I'm going to say more than the shirt off of his back.
Yeah,
For real.
definitely.
He spent a lot of time at Foxtail Coffee House. That's the coffee house that we spoke of before, where his last transaction was made. Everyone there recognized him. He would go in and sing to people, and they would often compliment his voice. Steve, his dad, made a real good investment on the Super Bowl last year. He came into quite a bit of extra money. And because of that, he was able to give Vladek money, who would turn around and give it to people in need. He was known to sit down at restaurants and give really nice tips. And when I say really nice, I've been a server. Like, you just like it, really, really nice tips, upwards anywhere from like 300, some cases 600. The waiters would always come back to the table and ask, like, whoa, bud, like, was this a mistake?
You sure?
You had like a salad and a Coke.
Right.
Are you sure that this is what you want to do?
I would probably cry, honestly.
It just, so I obviously, like, people knew him. In fact, the police officer who showed up to file the missing persons report actually started to describe Vladek to his father before his father even got a photo of him out. The officer recognized a pair of bright gold leggings that Vladek would frequently wear and proceeded to tell Steve that Vladek actually came up to him and his partner and thanked them for their service. They were really taken back and took notice of Vladek, because it's not often, probably especially in that area, that the police are approached and just wanted to chat, let alone thank them for doing a good job.
Seriously. Well, and the officer said, like, it stuck with him and it will stick with him because that's a really rare and what a cool thing, you know?
For real.
But Vladek had a really strange switch in character in 2021. When he was growing up, he was really focused on material things and having the biggest and the best. But then in the beginning of 2021, he decided that he didn't want to be focused on possessions and materialistic things. He actually had a smartphone that he physically broke it himself in order to remove the temptation of social media and all the materialistic things that kind of come along with that. He did not want to have a phone, but his family was like, we have to have a way to get a hold of you. Like, you can't just not have a phone. That's not, no. So they convinced him to get a flip phone. He got a flip phone. But he then became hyper focused on heaven in a very unusual kind of way. He would say, like, there is nothing for him in this world and he just wanted to be in heaven. He said that all of the possessions of the world are just a distraction from heaven. And he actually gave away his Samsung tablet a few months prior because he was like, I don't want it. Somebody take it. He really didn't have much of anything because he just gave everything that he had away. His obsession with heaven and the afterlife increased in the days leading up to his disappearance. a few days before Steve, his dad, left to go on that trip, Vladek was talking to him about archangels and demons, which was concerning to his father. His dad said not much of what he was saying made sense. However, Steve is an old-fashioned man, and he kind of believes in like letting things work themselves out, you know?
Yeah, I get that whole generation. I mean,
Focusing on mental health for that generation, I feel like in our generation, even like we were the first generation to kind of normalize
getting
therapy
mental
is
health.
good. Therapy
Mhm.
is fine. It's
Talk it
actually a
out.
very healthy thing. And
Yeah.
take your meds.
Mhm.
Take your meds.
Like,
But for their
take your
generation, it's
meds
like,
or go to therapy, or instead of sweeping things under the rug, like, let's pull them out and like
talk about it.
talk about it.
Communication.
Yeah, and I mean, it is difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah, it definitely, in that generation, it can be really hard to overcome that stigma.
Yes. Well, and some people, I think, still just have it like, what do they say? Like, out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
If I just
that sort
pretend
of.
like it's not there, then it's not there.
Exactly. Vladek was showing various distinctive signs that he was suffering from mental health, as we just talked about. He had periods of depression and even periods of mania where he would, as we've talked about, just give things away. Earlier in Vladek's life, he was having an issue finding and keeping a job. His father's then wife was giving him quite a hard time. Like, you got to keep a job. The fact that he wasn't working, and basically she was just saying he's being lazy. She
Like
would
in a
think,
very demeaning kind of a way.
yeah, there was some things going on. If he's having that hard of a time keeping a job, nothing's fitting, there's something going on here. She would say these things why Vladek was within hearing range, even though she was talking to his dad, Steve. It's like she knew that he could hear it though. And it really took a toll on him. He told his father he was feeling suicidal in August of 2020. But unfortunately, instead of seeking out any mental health professional, his father chose to leave that housing situation and change the environment. I mean, at least he did that. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Figuring and hoping that the change in scenery would help. So Vladek has never had any professional treatment regarding his mental health. It's important to remember that he suffered a significant amount of trauma in his childhood
Yes.
that was never dealt with. Unfortunately, because Vladek was never professionally treated for his mental health, the police department was not able to label him as an endangered person, despite the fact that his family feels very strongly that he suffered a mental health crisis. And they obviously have quite the reason to. Just,
Mm-hmm.
in the conversation with his sisters, like, there is a lot going on. I think even honestly, you could talk to the people that at the restaurants that were near there.
Yeah.
He was very nice. It's not like he, went all like crazy and like trying to kill people,
Yeah,
but
but so was Robin Williams. Like, you know,
touche. Touche.
that's a lot of people hide their pain by making other people happy.
And if he was hiding his pain by making other people happy, he
That
had a
goes
lot of
to
pain.
show,
He had a lot
right?
of pain.
A $600 tip equals a lot of pain if that's the comparison that we're making. Because holy shit.
Yeah.
So I hate to like poo-poo on law enforcement because I think law enforcement is good. I think that they do their best. But I do think that potentially a ball has been dropped. They didn't subpoena phone records from the phone company, as far as I can tell. Because when we talked to the family, they reached out to Steve directly to get those phone records. And he got them, but he was only able to get phone records up to like the 3rd or 4th of November. Because the next like round of phone records wasn't released until the first week of December. So literally, law enforcement just got those phone records 2 months ago, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because you're law enforcement and you can call a phone company or whatever the process is. I need these phone records. There's no reason why they should have had to wait until the first week of December to get the phone records from the first week in November. It's
well,
crazy.
this is where it goes back to, we've seen it so many times. He's a missing adult.
That's
there's no law that says
he can't disappear if he wants to.
Yes. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of this probably stems from that. But even those officers that did know him,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like law enforcement is kind of treating it as if he left on his own volition, which maybe, but that doesn't change the fact that this is a person who is very clearly struggling with mental health and is saying things to family members that are disturbing. I get it. He's an adult, but like, do we really count 23 as an adult? I was an adult when I was 23. Hell no.
I mean, I definitely was, but I also had to be. So
Not me. I was wilding out.
I'm not saying I did not have fun at 23. I got a DUI at 23. I'm saying,
man,
I had a lot of responsibility at 23.
I had a lot of, I had a kid, but like, yeah, I'm not even going to say it. Never mind.
Okay.
All right. So anyways, I just think it's strange that they're relying on Steve to collect this information instead of contacting the phone company directly. I just find that strange. And then a similar thing happened with his dental records. The police department was like, hey, we're going to reach out to the military and like get his dental records. And the family's like, cool. Yeah, let's do that. But then some time goes by and then law enforcement reaches out to Steve via email and says, hey, so we still haven't gotten those dental records. Can you like get in touch with them and give them our contact information and have them send those records our way?
Well, I have questions because he is 23. He is an adult. I don't even know that they would release them over to the parent. Like they would probably more
good point
release them over to
law enforcement,
right?
Especially if it's the military.
He's an adult.
He is a grown-ass man.
I'm just telling you, like, from like
technically
coming from a medical standpoint.
Yeah.
If we had,
that's a good point.
Yeah, if we had a parent contacting us, my kid is 20 this month. I can't call and get any medical records for him.
That's so bizarre to me. But like, I get it.
Yeah, thank you. It's cray.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it would probably be the same technically it is a medical record.
I would imagine it's the same.
So that's kind of bizarre to me.
It is. So then, okay. Law enforcement also told the family that because it's classified as an active investigation that the family literally can't do anything to like help at all. They can't organize their own search parties. They can't participate in the investigation process, like nothing. That's crazy to me. Somebody show me the law where it says that if my brother goes missing, I can't organize a search party for him. You can kiss my ass because I'm gonna. I know you told me not to call them out, but like, had to do it.
No. It's fine. I get it. And I'm assuming you probably did not get any return phone call.
No, I did not.
I would actually like, if there's anybody listening from Florida and you're in law enforcement, I'm only saying from Florida because I know that laws do
change,
fluctuate per state. If you have any knowledge of law enforcement laws, whatever, in Florida, let us know if this is a thing.
Because I don't think it's a thing.
I just don't, if anything, because like we talked about before, and we've seen it in every single case that we've done, literally, I'm not being dramatic. Law enforcement just does not have enough people to do things. You would think that they would want the help. The only thing, which I talked to you about a little bit earlier, that I can think is that they don't want like evidence to be mishandled or, you know, whatever. I don't know that they can actually say, though,
I don't think
they can't have a search party. Do they have to have a law enforcement person, like official or something, with them to do it? Somebody let us know. If we have this wrong, if we have it wrong, y'all already know.
We will correct it.
We will correct it. We'll be happy to.
Insane.
It's odd.
I'd be one hell of a lawbreaker if I lived in Florida and that was the case.
But also, if you are just if you have somebody that's missing and you are looking and you're doing a search party, pawn some gloves, bring some Ziploc bags, do your due diligence to like make sure that you are not going to
contaminate the evidence.
Contaminate the evidence.
Dude, that was so professional of you. I am so proud of you right now. Literally, you are true crime. I would have never thought of that because I
just don't want to tell a bunch of people that have like if they're missing somebody to like, don't listen to law enforcement, like go tromp through the woods and like mess up evidence. If you're gonna do it right. Be smart.
Do it right.
Do it right so that law enforcement, like, so that things
they can use what you give them.
Exactly. If you just pick it up with your hands and throw it in your backpack or something, they probably aren't going to look at it or touch it with a 10-foot damn pole.
Correct.
So
even I know that. Well, I think it's weird. Whatever. In the beginning, though, the family was trying really hard to trust the police department. Like, they haven't hired a private investigator. They don't have a GoFundMe set up. They like the typical things that we see. This family hasn't done any of that. And it's because they feel like the police officers are using like fear tactics to make them question what they can and can't do. That's crazy to me. And actually, okay, so the gym at the apartment that Vladek was living at had video cameras. And then the day that they filed a police report, they went into the office of the apartment complex.
If like, you tell me that the cameras were not working.
Oh, no, they were working. No, but this will piss you off even more. They said, yes, the cameras are working, but they only store video, like cloud storage, for a week, right? They don't hand the footage over to the family because the family's like, okay, cool, we'll pass this information along to law enforcement. Well, they did that. And then they followed up like a week and a half later, and the police officers were like, yeah, that's on our list of something to do. Too late. It's too late. The footage is gone. It's gone. So they didn't get it. So they have no idea. And if there's a techie person out there who could tell me, like, can that footage be uncovered somewhere in the deep dark web? Please tell me, because that is infuriating to me that there could potentially have been video of him going somewhere and it just wasn't followed up on because it was just on the list. That's crazy.
That should have been
crazy.
That's at his apartment complex.
That should have been like day 1.
Day 2, maybe.
Okay, fine. Day 2 even, but not day 14. Or
Wow.
whatever it was. Yeah. So
okay, you're right. That does make me more mad than it not working.
Yeah. That's because, like, if your cameras aren't working, honestly, kind of expect that nowadays. Nobody's cameras ever work except mine. My cameras work. Don't try and come at me.
My cameras definitely damn work.
That's right. Arlo.
Mm. Me and Ashley sitting next to each other, like, whose house is going off right now?
Right.
Whose dogs are outside?
Mine.
Vladek's family says that he is not good with directions, driving, or managing money. They do not believe it would be possible for him to have saved up money in an effort to live off grid and disappear. He does have some survival training, but he didn't take any of his possessions.
So what little he had.
Like, because he gave everything away. He just wanted to make everybody else happy.
Mm-hmm.
He was also purchasing possibly large quantities of marijuana, but it is unclear whether he was using it for personal use or to sell to others. Don't have a lot more information on that.
Basically, we just know that he needed $500 from his dad to buy weed. That's what we know. And
but whether he was like smoking it or what, maybe he was actually sharing it with his friends. I'm serious.
You know what? Honestly,
I'm
given
serious.
this guy's history, he probably was giving it away.
Yes.
And it might not be legal in Orlando, but it is definitely legal here in Washington. So get after it, friend. Like, cool. Somebody wants to give me some weed. I probably won't smoke it because I don't like it, but I'll give it to somebody else. Be like, here you go. Have fun.
I mean, I don't like it really either, but I also wouldn't trust it. But that's here nor there.
Yeah.
The family feels that it is possible he may have hitchhiked or started walking and is no longer in Orlando because there are basically no more leads coming in locally, and everybody local knew who he was. On the Wednesday following the family's filing of the missing persons report, Steve got a call from the maintenance man who worked at the apartment complex. He left a voicemail and he listened to the voicemail, but his dad's a little bit hard of hearing. I understand, so is mine. And misheard some of the information. Steve thought he heard the maintenance guy say he saw Vladek and they talked, and then he saw him walk into the woods. So that's what Steve originally told the sheriff's office. However, after listening to the voicemail again, the maintenance man actually said that he saw Vladek walk back into the apartment, but as a side note, he mentioned that they should check the woods by the basketball court because he spends a lot of time out there smoking or singing. Maybe that's where he was smoking his weed.
I mean, probably he's smoking his weed and singing a song. Like, honestly, it's a vibe.
Yeah,
I get it. When I was 25, I would have been all about that. Despite the fact that Vladek was very well known around town and liked by everyone, he didn't really build and maintain friendships. However, he did have this like blossoming friendship with a guy named Matt that he met at Smoky Bones, which is an establishment nearby. They had become fairly close leading up to his disappearance. And at one point, he asked Matt if he could stay with him for a little while, but Matt told him no. it sounds like he was concerned for Vladek's mental health. It's unclear whether or not the police department has been in contact with Matt. We have not been in contact with Matt. But we do know. So we spoke to a spokesperson for a group called Owl Reconnaissance. And I really hope I said that word right.
I think you did.
And they've been helping this family look for Vladek. And it sounds like Matt is on their list of people to speak to. They are a nonprofit organization that helps with investigations of missing people, and they use like super cool investigation techniques from experts across the country. Like they help people nationwide. So when we talked to them, they actually gave us 3 crucial points that they want everyone in the public to be aware of, and especially any of our listeners who are in or around Orlando, Florida.
Yes. So, first, it seems plausible that Vladek either prompted or decided abruptly to leave his apartment. There's a distinct lack of preparation, which, given his standard behavior, is not unusual. However, it does suggest he would have limited resources. Did he suddenly embark on a self-imposed trip to pursue his religious beliefs? Did he leave and subsequently see something which prompted him to travel alone? Did a yet unidentified witness or group ask him to leave his apartment? Was this part of Vladek's vague plan, which he alluded to in conversations with his family prior to his disappearance? Here's the thing. All of these are plausible at a minimum. That said, we would like to know what specifically prompted him to physically leave his apartment that day. So, if any listener saw him or someone fitting his description around Orlando or anywhere doing something mundane like ordering a coffee, please contact your local authorities or Night Owl Reconnaissance.
Second, and this is really interesting, Vladek had recently been watching a quote unquote YouTube pastor. This person had been speaking about the afterlife and archangels and all of those things that Vladek was expressing interest in prior to his disappearance. We know that Vladek previously identified as a Protestant Christian. However, he has also gone to non-denominational churches and he has mission experience in Israel. So whoever this pastor or person in the video is, it could provide some crucial insights into his frame of mind leading up to the disappearance. Night Owl Reconnaissance would be particularly interested in anyone who knows of a pastor, religious figure, or YouTuber who has posted videos with these topics: heaven, hell, archangels, and demons in the October to November 2021 timeframe, specifically leading up to November 12th, 2021. It's possible that something in a video prompted him to leave. It's hard to get details, but if you've seen something, the internet is so freaking huge, it's impossible to find all of these videos. So if you've seen something, we want to know.
Third, we encourage any listeners from Florida or the Orlando area to review Vladek's photo and to pay attention to the local homeless. We encourage any listeners from Florida or the Orlando area to review Vladek's photo and to pay attention to the local homeless population. For anyone who matches his description or who may resemble a version of Vladek. If he is continuing his charitable behavior, then it is possible he's interacting or living amongst the local unhoused population. If any of our listeners work with the homeless population in the Orlando area, or even honestly, Florida in general, please contact your local authorities or Night Owl Reconnaissance.
This organization has done searches into and monitoring of localized community boards, feeds, real estate listings, isolated high crime areas, etc., for mentions, descriptions, or any events which could be attributed to Vladek. They've also been monitoring police reporting on human remains found in adjacent counties. So far, nothing has come up as a match. Based on Vladek's recent fascination with religion, the organization has conducted some interesting research into new religious movements, which are generally categorized as cults in the area, hoping to make a connection and discover if Vladek is being housed by any of them. A member of their team also produced some geographic overlays, which kind of combine the places that Vladek would go to frequently with the last known location to kind of give you a better perspective of the wooded area near his apartment and kind of where he may have been. So we will post those photos for you to see, as well as any other information provided by this organization. We did have an opportunity to speak briefly with Vladek's father, Steve, and although he didn't have anything to add particularly, he did say that the sheriff's office has not given him any details in well over a month and that he is concerned that this is becoming a cold case.
I mean, here's the thing. Given his background and his recent thought processes, I know some people might think, wow, but you're going like way off track. Knowing what he has gone through, how he was acting leading up to it, the things that he was talking about, the things that he was watching, that is how not only religious groups work, but when you consume your mind with something, you start thinking that way.
It's like indoctrination.
Yeah. And
Or
that's how
even,
those groups work is, all I'm saying is I don't think it is so far out of the realm that it should not be looked into. It should be looked into.
my thought honestly is that we have a person who is in the middle of a mental health crisis who had shown interest in disappearing, going off the map, didn't want to be found, wanted to live off the grid. And we did talk about this earlier. It doesn't surprise me that he left his cell phone. It
Nope.
doesn't surprise me that he didn't take anything, because a person who is focusing on not being materialistic isn't going to take anything.
And I don't even think, honestly, that he was hyper focused on. I think he honestly got to the point where he just did not care about materialistic things, which high five, that is fantastic. I really do think that that is great. So, while for you or I, if you left your house without your cell phone and you didn't take anything with you, so that's not good. Something happened, right?
Yes.
I don't think it would be odd for him to leave without a cell phone or any possessions. First of all, he didn't have a lot of possessions. He didn't give a shit about them.
It's so interesting. And here's the thing is, I also really believe that he has a lot of love for his family. So that's why I'm not entirely convinced that he did leave of his own volition. Like, maybe he did, but I feel like in the right frame of mind, he would have made contact with his family by now because he does care about them, or at least with Irina. They were like super tight.
Well, here's the thing though, because I thought about this after we were talking. How long has Irina been in jail?
I think since December.
So if he went missing, let's say early to mid-November,
Mm-hmm.
even if it came December and he did want to reach out to her, maybe he couldn't.
Maybe, but I got the
He did
impression
say, sorry, he did say though that even about his dad, like
he
he
wouldn't
wouldn't want to
just,
do that.
right. I just feel like I got the impression that they spoke often enough to where if a week had gone by and they didn't talk, that's cause for alarm.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting though that there has not been any extensive searches performed in those wooded areas. That blows my mind.
Super blows my mind. Especially since so many people in that community know who he is and have had regular interaction with him, loved him.
Mm-hmm.
They all liked him.
The area is literally right behind his apartment. Like that, why has that not been searched? I mean, I understand it's rough terrain. It's very difficult. I get that. And I guess there was a search performed with dogs and then another search performed without dogs. But like an extensive search of that wooded area behind the apartment has not happened. That would be my very first priority, is searching that, because he expressed interest in disappearing, in lying down somewhere and allowing himself to pass away so that he could get to heaven faster.
Well, and
That's where I would look.
the maintenance guy did say that he
spent a lot of
liked
time
to
out there.
go in those woods.
I will say that we reached out to the police department and did not get a response. That doesn't surprise me though. They usually don't want to talk to little nobodies like us. But yeah, I mean, a lot of questions, not a lot of answers.
Unfortunately, as is with our cases. Sorry, guys.
I know. We've yet to have one be solved.
Yeah. So a lot of information there though. I think that actually bothers me a little bit more because there is so much information. I mean, I guess not technically in the couple of days within him, like, quote unquote, disappearing.
Like, my thought is, did we check like CCTV? There's a Walgreens.
That's
like
what
a
I'm
block
thinking, is like,
away. All of these restaurants that he frequents, some of them have to have CCTV. I mean, this is Orlando, Florida.
they have to have cameras.
They have to have cameras. Why are we not checking these cameras? Why do we not have this video footage? Why is that not a thing? And honestly, I already know the answer, because it's not a priority, because he's a grown-ass man who decided to disappear.
And here's the thing. Also, his family is not like they want him found and brought home. They're like, if he is found and he does not, that's what he wants, is to not.
Like, if he's alive, but he's just out there and just like, I don't want to be found, I don't want to talk to anybody. Cool. Fabulous.
That's fine.
Do that.
They just want to know that he's okay.
Yes.
So
if you've seen him, if you've heard of him, if you're in the Orlando, Florida area, or truthfully at this point anywhere in the country, I don't think that you could miss this person. I think this is a very distinct person.
He's eccentric. He loves to talk. He will obviously do anything for you if it's within his ability to do it.
Mm-hmm. So if you have any information, please come forward. You could be anonymous. That's completely fine. The family just wants to know that he's okay.
And that's that one. We will put all of the information, like we always say, in the show notes.
I am going to see if I can reach out to the family to see if maybe they can start a GoFundMe. And then if that happens, we'll give you guys that information. But we'll also post they have a TikTok for him because TikTok finds people. It happens. And they also have an Instagram. So we'll link those in the show notes. And beyond that, we would love your guys' feedback. We'd love to know what you think. Do you love the shit you don't need to know segment? Do you hate it?
We are actually going to put a question box on our Instagram that will also go to our Facebook, correct?
Yeah.
Does the question box go to Facebook?
I guess we're gonna find out.
I guess we'll find out. So we are going to just see if you guys like that segment. We just really wanted something kind of lighthearted to get us in, open up the show with.
Yes.
So I hope that you guys like it. I know the first one was quite something. I thought it was hilarious because I am a big bottom girl.
I was so certain that I was right. I was very wrong. That literally, that was the only one where I was like, that's not a thing.
You're like, that's definitely not it.
All right. Well, we will be back next Monday with a brand new shit you don't need to know and another story for you. Thank you for listening. If you love this, please rate us on whatever platform you're listening to. If you hate us, please do not rate us. Send us an email instead. missingonmondaypodcast@gmail.com. You guys probably noticed we are very open to feedback, constructive criticism. We're happy to make corrections where necessary. We welcome
just be respectful.
Yes. All we ask is be respectful. But yeah, we love you guys. Thanks for coming back. Hope you have an amazing week.
And we will talk to you next Monday.
Don't go missing. Bye.
Bye.